Top spot in the SEC on the line Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time tip-off between number 4 Tennessee going on the road to take on number 14 Alabama. Haslametrics makes Alabama a small 1-point home favorite, over-under of 167, so it should be an entertaining offensive game if that is any indication. Tennessee projected 2 seed, Alabama projected 3 seed at the moment. Derek, I was really impressed with Tennessee against Auburn. Took a ton of punches from Auburn there. Home court maybe was a big factor there. Connect got whatever he wanted against a pretty good Auburn defense. I just think this is the more well-rounded team. I know they're going on the road here, but I mean, Alabama's got big red flags on defense.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really like Tennessee in this spot. It is, a revenge game for Alabama after their loss to them last time around, but Tennessee is an absolute matchup nightmare for Alabama. They don't allow a lot of open threes. They're 18th in the country in open three rate on defense. They're just a matchup nightmare, and they defend the paint really well too, and Alabama's defense, they rank 99th in defensive efficiency in KenPom, but they're just getting shelled against these top offensive teams in the country, right? All 7 of their losses have come against offenses that rank in the top 20 in terms of adjusted offensive efficiency. And they don't block a lot of shots like they did last year when Bediako was there. Their rim protection is terrible, Grant Nelson, he's fine, but he's not Bediako in that regard. This is a tough spot for Alabama. I do lean Tennessee, and Zakai Ziegler, man, he's a tough matchup for Mark Sears. He's one of the best on-ball defenders in the country. I think he turned over Sears like 7 times in their last matchup. Like, if you can take Mark Sears out of the equation, it's really tough for Alabama to generate offense, and Zakai Ziegler can do that. So I'm going to have a bet on Tennessee in this game. I do think that they go on the road and win. Granted, last game against Tennessee, Alabama, they rank 8th worst in the country in their away from home metric on Haslametrics. So it wasn't much of a shocker that they went on the road and lost against Tennessee. So I am going to have a bet on Tennessee in this one. So
Eli, I might play a prop here too. I know not everybody has access to props on college basketball players at their sports books, but if Dalton Connect's going to be still lined at 20.5, 21.5 in this game against Alabama's defense, which is what his season average is, I'm going to have a hard time not betting the over here. And if you're in a state where you can't get props at your sports book, you can always do Underdog College Basketball picks. And if you don't have an Underdog account, you can use promo code THELINES to get a deposit match up to $100. So your thoughts overall on the game, and maybe also that Connect over on points angle.
Yeah, he was incredible against Auburn. Just to go back to Wednesday night, we're recording this on Thursday, so it's definitely fresh in all of our minds. 25 points in the final 12 minutes of that game. Auburn scored 21, so he outscored the Tigers by himself. And the issue I have with the Tigers, just big picture and kind of looking at the SEC as a whole, when Janai Broome gets switched onto guards, because Connect took advantage of that a few times down the stretch and also hit some difficult shots that I don't think it was an overstatement what I tweeted out, X'd out, even though that sounds weird to say. I don't think anybody is hitting that shot against Jalen Williams near the baseline in the final, 10 minutes of that game. Ridiculous shot making. The best pure shot maker to me in college basketball. The way he's transformed his game into a lottery pick is truly unbelievable. But back to this game, a lot depends on the injury front for me with Alabama. Even though I make this game around a pick, depending on the injury status of Latrell Wrightsell, I would still consider, not necessarily advocate, but consider taking Alabama on the money line depending on where this goes. The market could trend in your direction, Derek, and Stevens, to your point too, with Tennessee. If Wrightsell misses this game with a concussion, but if he plays, Alabama was a bit of a different team when these two teams squared off in Knoxville the last time around. Wrightsell was playing, didn't have the concussion at that juncture of the season, but wasn't getting nearly as many minutes. He's their best three-point shooter, A, and B, their best on-ball defender. Still a couple inches shorter than Connect, but I'd be curious to see how Connect does against him in this matchup. Alabama going back to Wednesday night. They won. They covered at Ole Miss without Wrightsell in the lineup. And like you mentioned, Derek, Tennessee blew out Alabama in their first meeting, tied with 22 turnovers. So Sears with 7 of them. And you look at Alabama's transition defense, it ranks just above the Division I average. So if you turn the basketball over, you're going, speaking about Alabama, get picked apart with the opponent's fast break opportunities. Now, with that said, one last thing with Alabama's offense, especially if Wrightsell is in. Tide shot 421 from 3 in their first meeting. Tennessee doesn't allow a ton of open three-point shots, to Derek's point, but if Wrightsell plays, I would expect that efficiency to jolt up at home in a game that could decide the SEC regular season title. But keep in mind, both teams have some tough games. Whoever wins it on Saturday night, Tennessee goes to South Carolina, granted a revenge game for the Volunteers in that one on Wednesday, and then Alabama goes to Florida. So if Alabama takes care of business at home against the Vols, they're set up for doom against the Gators, because Florida has had that one circled for a while against the Tide after losing that one in overtime last week to Alabama. I'll say it again, Clemson the only team to knock off Alabama at Tuscaloosa this season. Go Tigers. But Steven, that's my look ahead to this one. Raw numbers say Alabama money line, but really depends on Wrightsell status.